Hi, welcome to Margaretcountry Crafts Miniatures. My name is Catherine and this is my very first video on this channel. I hope to bring you many videos on what is my favorite hobby of crafting and anything miniature. So please stick around because we are going to go through 4 unique holiday decor crafts. You might want to subscribe to see more. I have more, so you might as well subscribe. And be sure to stay around till the end of the video where I'm going to show you a bonus mini. Getting into the first craft, I have this Dollar Tree camper that I, a long time ago, painted green and sanded it up. But I'm just going to give it a fresh coat because it's been sitting for a while. I painted it and I didn't really know what to do with it, so it sat a while. So after a fresh coat of paint all over, I'm just going to do the back side of that as well. And then I have this red truck from the Dollar Tree as well. It's fall themed, of course, because there's pumpkins in the background, but this was the perfect size for the camper and I wanted to use it up. And luckily I had another one of the truck, so I didn't feel too bad about using it. So I just have this faux tree. I believe this is from one of those Department 56 miniature kits. And then I have this folk art multi-surface paint and it's brown, and I'm just gonna do a little coat on the area that's the hay and the pumpkins. I just want to cover that up because the step later you'll see why. So I have this faux wood slat particle board plank from Dollar Tree. So I'm just cutting off the end of the tree. And I'm just gonna do some shading on the plank. I just want to add a little bit of dimension or distress it a little bit so it doesn't look so starkly shiny or plasticky. And I'm just using my fingers to kind of rub that in so that it's not as paint stroke-like. And then I'm putting some hot glue on top of that paint that I did, the brown paint. And I'm going to put some of Dollar Tree's faux snow, sprinkle that all over it so that the tree looks like it's laying on a bed of snow rather than the 2 pumpkins. And I'm just using Dollar Tree's silicone makeup mask applier. It really works great for protecting your fingers from the heat of the hot glue. And I'm just going to do it on the back side as well. Put some on there, use the applicator to help me out there, put some of the faux snow. And I have these little beaded sprinkles, glitter, whichever you want to call it. It's from Dollar Tree. I've had them for a while, but Dollar Tree, I'm pretty sure still sells them. And they're just tiny. They're very micro tiny. And they make good little realistic decorations for this miniature camper. So I'm just using Aleene's craft glue. And I just put it on the raised edges that I want to put these red and green sparkles. I also have some gold paint that I'm using on some of the raised edges as well. Something that is really metallic and can really shine. I'm doing around the edge of the whole camper as well. And this time I've mixed the red and the green sparkles together so that it can give like a faux garland look around the entire camper. Does anybody else remember their first trip or maybe family vacation? Was it in a camper or was it always traditional tents? I would love to hear in the comments below if you ever had a vacation that involved a camper. It's specifically at Christmas time. Did you ever decorate your camper? And then I have these little faux candy canes. I got them in a pack off of Amazon quite a while ago, and I've used many of the other ones for different projects, which I will show at some point on this channel. But I'm just taking some white paint and I'm painting over it because the rainbow color is not quite the vibe I'm going for this camper. This heat gun, you'll see, I use this quite a lot. I got that off of Amazon as well. And I just have some red paint from the Dollar Tree as well. And I'm going to make a little striped design on the candy cane on top of the white paint. Now with my candy canes, I decided to put one on the very end of the camper. And one over the door of the camper. Now I have some pipe cleaners in red, gold, and green, and I want to make some faux garland type wreaths because I think one could look really nice on the door on the camper. So I just twist together. I decided to not use the gold, so I just used the red and green. And I'm just twisting that into a wreath shape and placing it on the door. So I'm just going to put the wreath on the door. And I say that looks like a garland wreath. I did test out putting a garland or pipe cleaner garland on the roof of the camper as well. I also tried a wreath there, but I figured it was just best to put the candy cane there. So I did put some stripes of tinsel garland, pipe cleaner garland on the top. You can kind of see my vision here. The truck is going to be pulling the camper. So I have from Dollar Tree this wire twig-like berry garland, and I thought it was a good match. Kind of gave a rustic look to the truck that the tree was strapped on with this rope of some sort. So I'm just using hot glue, and I'm gonna hot glue it down to each side so that it's wrapped around the tree. So back to the plank that we distressed earlier. I now have my decorated camper and my tree on the back of the bed of the truck. And I now want to figure out how we can connect the two, maybe, because a truck has to have some kind of connector to be pulling the camper, right? Right? Because we have to make this realistic, right? It's a miniature craft. So this is the point where I realized, oh, that doesn't make sense for the wheel of the camper to be closest to the back of the truck. So I switched it around, just pulled it apart and switched it around so that it made more sense that the camper would be pulled with the wheel being at the very back. And I hot glued it down onto the plank. And that's kind of the vision that we have, but we're not quite done yet. This is the point where you might want to like this video. You might want to subscribe to see more. I mean, I have more, so you might as well subscribe. And also turn on the bell notifications so that you know when I've posted more. So I have this Ziploc baggie of these little faux candy. I got this off of Facebook Marketplace, and I put faux snow on the plank. And with those faux little candy pieces, I thought the white ones looked like snowballs. So here we have the finished product. So on to craft number 2. I have this cloche, I believe they are called. It's plastic. It's from Dollar Tree. I believe this was maybe part of their springtime selection of products. I have this white chalk paint. It is a little bit it is a little bit old, so I just gave it a mix. It is thicker because it is a little old. But hey, I have a whole thing of it, so I'm going to use it. So I'm just giving the base of this a whole coat of paint because I don't want it being black. Black isn't really a Christmassy color or a holiday color to me. And I'm going to use my heat gun so that we could speed up the drawing process of this as well. Because it's not always the quickest to paint on plastic and have it dry quickly. And I'm just going to do a second coat of paint so that it can be very opaque. And so I have this little mini white tree. We will be using this. And I also have this little miniature rocking chair that I had bought for my fall DIY little country store. Please let me know if you would like to see that. I know fall time has passed, but I would like to showcase that at some point. This little pillow, in real life, it is a little more orangey, but on video, it does look pretty red. I could have left it as it was, but instead, I just used a little bit of metallic red paint, and I painted a stripe going horizontally and vertically. I think it kind of made it look a little bit like a present. So I have this red floral wire, and I'm going to make a little bow that's going to go on the pillow and give it kind of a little bit of a present look. So next, I have these mini ornaments that I got from Dollarama. I found these, and these are pretty great little mini ornaments. I also wanted to test out if I wanted this little toy soldier next to it, but I decided against that. So back with the white tree, I wanted to put the tree somewhere, and because of my placement of the rocking chair, I decided that it was best if the tree go behind the rocking chair, but I needed to cut down the branches a little bit of the tree so that it would fit nice and snug behind the chair. And if you can sense the vision with this, we are kind of making one of those never forgotten little sentiments of any loved one or friend that you have lost and you are thinking about at the holiday time. This is just a little decor piece that can remind you that they have a seat at your festivities this holiday season. So with the tree, I just took those little sprinkles and I put them on top of the white tree with the Aleene's craft glue. With the cover of the cloche, because it's plastic, it did have some raised bumps and edges because it was made from a plastic mold. And I wanted to cover those up. So I just took some glue and I put it at the very top of the inner part of the cover. And I'm going to use those little mini beaded sparkles again. And just going to pour them in there. And for now, that's how I left it. Because I really wanted to get to these miniature lights. Look at these little mini lights. I think they are so cute and I wanted to use them. I wanted them to really be suspended in the cloche up in the air so that they'd be hanging over top of the chair. So I tried using some glue dots, but hot glue just was gonna probably work the best and the strongest. And then I wanted to cover up the hot glue because that's not a good look. So I took my Aleene's craft glue, covered up the spots that had the hot glue, and put the little sparkles over top of those areas as well. And then at this point I realized, oh, well, the glue on the inside doesn't look so good from the outside. So I put a little bit more glue on the very top on the outside of the cover of the cloche. And of course used more mixture of that great red and green shiny sparkles. It's not really sparkles because they're kind of like chunks, little tiny chunks of glass or little spear beads, but I really like them. I really like working with them. They're great for miniatures. They're a great size. And so I put some of Dollar Tree's faux snow inside of the cloche, put the lid on, and there we have our little never forgotten Cloche Memory Piece. Hope you guys like it. I think it's really cute. Okay, so let's do craft number 3. I have this little MDF window. It doesn't have anything filling the little window cutouts, but I think it's great, like maybe a Victorian kind of shape window. I think it's a great size too. I'm just gonna take off the little strings that were on it, and I'm going to fill the holes with hot glue and add a little popsicle stick cut down on each side so that on the front side we have something to paint over. And the hot glue was great at kind of filling in those holes. So I'm going to take that white chalk paint again that I have lots of. It's by Folk Art. And I'm going to paint this whole window in this white chalk paint. It's going to look like one of those really rustic old windowsills, you know? And I'm just quickly drying the first coat. And for the second coat, I wanted it to be a little bit more textured, a little bit chunkier, because we are going for that old windowsill type kind of look. So I added my favorite material to use in crafting is also baking soda. It gives a great texture to your paint. So I added some of that into the paint, and I just went over it and kind of dabbed it all over the window. And I'm gonna take the multi-surface brown paint that I had from my earlier craft, and I'm just gonna use that on a paintbrush so that I can distress the window. I do a little bit more of the distressing later on as well, but for now I just wanted it to be kind of a subtle distressing. And I'm trying to cover up this welcome sign that's on it. The multi-surface paint didn't do what I thought it would do. I thought it would have better coverage. And even after attempting 2 layers, it didn't really cover it that well. So I added some of the baking soda white chalk paint to the brown paint, and that made it a little more thicker and was able to cover it up a lot better. I have this gold leaf pick from Dollar Tree, and I just thought the little edges of the leaves would look really pretty on either side of where that welcome sign is. Almost maybe like they are coming out of that box. That could be maybe be a planter that's on the window. I thought that was kind of cute. And so I have these Amazon decal stickers transfers. And yes, those are garden shears. They were just what I had around me, so that's what I'm using. And they do the job. So I just got myself some of these, and I thought this one here, the holly, would look really nice in the center. I just cut that out, and I wanted to tuck it under those gold leaves that I glued on there. And with a popsicle stick, I'm just gonna really scratch over it, over the film, so that I can make sure that it's fully adhered to the surface underneath. And when I lifted it up, it looked pretty good. It did have a nice result. Very colorful, very good. A little shiny though, almost like I stuck down a sticker, which is not my favorite when using a rub-on transfer. But it is what it is. It's on there now. So I have these little miniature Christmas strands of Christmas lights, little garland from Michael's. Michael's always has those sales, buy one get one free. So I did use it on this one as well. I just thought the little mini size looked great on this window. And we wanted to add in the holiday factor a little bit more. So I just put this one strand of the little teeny tiny lights across the bottom. And I also wanted to string it along the middle of it as well. And I debated whether I wanted to go through each horizontal line of the window, or if I wanted to look a little more carefree, because that's usually how my Christmas lights are, you know, carefree. Like I just like throw it up wherever else it will stick. Some people have very, very well done lights on their homes. Unfortunately, that's just not how mine usually go because I don't like heights. Anyways, I am placing a strand of the little lights across the middle of the window frame, and also I'm going to place them across the top of the window frame too, as I said, in a very carefree fashion. Next, I have this fabric roll from Dollarama. It's in a really beautiful red plaid pattern, and I thought this would look great as like a Christmas curtain behind the window pane. But I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just flat against the back of the window pane. I wanted to make sure that it had some depth to it because we're going to do a little bit of a wave technique so that it looks like a curtain. I have these popsicle sticks that I decided to raise up the fabric on the back. I'm just layering about four popsicle sticks on each side of the window frame, and I'm gonna hot glue to attach the fabric to the sides of the popsicle sticks in hopes that we can create a wave technique with the fabric. And I'm adding the same amount of popsicle sticks to the center of the window frame as well. So this is where I'm trying to bend the fabric and to make it curve so that it looks like a wave in the curtain, because we don't want it just to look like a flat piece of fabric on the inside of the window. We want it to look like a flowing curtain. And there's those trusty garden shears again. They weren't working too well for me, so I switched to my X-Acto knife, and I'm just trying to get away the excess fabric that's around there, and I'm trying to secure all the other areas of the fabric to the back of the window frame. And I'm just tidying it up by snipping off any loose pieces of fabric that are showing when it faces front. And I have this wooden pallet, this little wooden pallet from the Dollar Tree, and the window slid into one of those slats perfectly. So that's how I'm gonna get this window to stand on its own. So I placed the window frame into the very last slot of the pallet, and I'm just going to use some of the Dollar Tree's tower blocks to secure the window upwards on the pallet. And then I also have this blank piece of wood. I believe it's from a package from Dollarama. And you can see my vision was I'm going to place that on the front of the window pane on top of the pallet. And I'm going to the back of the window and I'm just going to paint that all white just so that it's a seamless look with this blank wood piece that I have. I'm also painting that all white because we want this window frame to look pretty cohesive all together. And using the trusty heat gun to hopefully speed it up a little bit. And I'm painting the front of the wood palette as well. And I'm just gluing down that wood piece on top of the wood palette. I have these metal Christmas bow earrings that I found also at Michael's craft store. I also have these ornaments that are from Dollarama. So I took one of the Christmas presents and I placed one of those earring bows on top of the present. The green metallic paint I also used on that present ornament just so we could highlight that little ribbon detail that goes around it. And I have these two jingle bells, but I placed one on each side. And then I had these little white candy canes, but I'm just using these little candy canes and I'm painting them white, but then I painted them with a green metallic paint. And I added the little green candy canes to each of the jingle bells on each side. And there we have our little windowsill Christmas scene with the mini lights and the flowing curtain behind it. I really like this one. It really paints a Christmas picture. And here we are with our final craft number 4. So I have this Merry Little Christmas MDF sign that I got from Dollarama, I believe years ago. And I have these miniature reindeer and little pine tree that I found in a plastic bag from Value Village. I believe the brand of these little miniatures is Lamax. So that's kind of the vision of what I plan to do with this item. And so I'm taking some white paint and I'm just going to paint over all those MDF areas that are brown, just so that we can cover those up and make the whole piece a little more cohesive, a little more cleaned up. But of course, my painting style is not clean. I tend to use my smudging of my fingers a lot to try to make it blend in. I wanted it to blend in with the white background behind that font, but that white background just has a tinge of gray to it. But all in all, it still looks like a white border around the font. And I'm just applying paint to all the edges as well so that all the MDF color is all covered up. and just using my heat gun so that we can hopefully speed up time. So I'm just going to glue down the miniature reindeer. There's about 3 of them that came in the pack. And I'm just going to hot glue them down onto the ledges of this sign. And also the little pine tree as well is going to go on the very top. And back to these metal earrings that I had gotten from Michael's craft store. I'm taking one and I'm kind of poking a hole to see if it would slide through that MDF, but it did not want to. And I wasn't going to push it. So I cut off the earring part of the bow and then I hot glued them on to each side just to fill in the space. Maybe it looks like the reindeer is investigating why there's a Christmas bow there. But I decided to put 2 green ones and a red one. And there we have our last craft. And welcome to our bonus mini segment. Yes, I'm going to show off one of my miniatures that I have in the past revamped. Another mini Christmas camper. So this one I did a few years ago, back in maybe 2020, Christmas 2020. And I used those same glass beads. And this one I had turned into an ornament for my tree. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. My very first video. I hope you subscribe. I hope you like this video. I hope you make a comment down below. And I hope to have more videos for you to watch in the future. Bye-bye.